All right, everyone, we're just about to tip over the 11 o'clock mark, so let's go ahead and get started. Once again, for those of you who are just joining us, my name is Kristine Brown. I'm the Director of Member Engagement here at the Reno+Sparks Chamber. And once again, it's great to see all of you. I know that we were expecting about 25 folks to hop on today. I'm sure that we'll get a few more folks to hop on in the next couple of minutes, but we want to respect everyone's time, especially our guest, Charles Harris, as he is a busy guy. So we're going to go ahead and get started right now. Welcome to Chamber EDU. I know for some of you, this may be your first time engaging in a Chamber EDU course. So what Chamber EDU is, it's our educational arm here at the Chamber. So our goal with our members and also community members at large is to make sure that, especially in times like this that are quite fluid and abnormal, that our members are equipped with all of the information and tools they need in their toolbox in order to survive this time and also thrive during this time. So right now we're checking in with lots of community stakeholders, of course, Charles Harris being one. We've got other calls coming up this week. We've got one with Bob Potts, the Deputy Director of GoEd. We've got one with Kristen McNeil, Dr. Kristen McNeil rather, who is the Superintendent of the Washoe County School District, and lots of other offerings. And I encourage you to visit our website and check all of those out whenever you have the opportunity. We would more than welcome you back to another session, as many sessions as you would enjoy. So right now, I want to remind everyone of some call etiquette. So we do like to take Q&A at the end of these calls. And so I invite you to, at any time, at any point during the call, enter whatever questions you may have for Charles into chat, and we will address those, at least try to address as many of those as we can at the end of the call. But go ahead and keep yourselves muted if you would, and use chat to ask your questions. And we're actually going to begin today with a brief presentation from Charles. So right now I'm just going to ask Charles to introduce himself to you all, and then he will go ahead and get started. Charles.
All right, good morning. My name is Charles Harris. I've been in this job and have joined the RSCVA back in November, so a little over 2 months that I've been here. I came from Anaheim. I was with Visit Anaheim for about 7 years and have been in the industry, if you will, for about 10 years. So I was previously with a hotel in Los Angeles on the corporate side of a boutique hotel brand on the luxury side. Prior to that, I had worked for many years in the sports management field, having worked with the Dodgers, the Angels, the Ducks in hockey and in college athletics. And the only thing I always like to say is I wish I would have been on this side of the business maybe 10 years before. I'm very passionate about the travel and tourism industry, have worked very hard to integrate myself with the leaders and the best practices over the years. And just in February, completed what's called the CDME course, which is the highest level of certification for folks in our industry. So happy to be here and happy to answer any questions that I can talk about.
All right, great. Thank you so much. And I understand that you might want to share your screen for your presentation today.
I think I'm just going to talk through some things.
Okay, great.
To be able to do that. What I would like to start off and talk about really is just where we are with COVID. The challenging thing for anybody in the hospitality industry is dealing with COVID. It's affecting us across the country and certainly here in Reno. But what we do is we're still open. We're lucky to be still open at a percentage rate compared to what's happening in California or other parts of the country. And really, how do we manage that? And we manage that by understanding what's happening with data and resources of what travel intenders and what things are happening. And so one of the things I want to point out is Longwoods is a research organization that works with a company called Miles, and they really did some research around travel intenders and what the first trips people will take on a leisure side in 2021. And from that, people are talking about traveling regionally by car. There's some folks that are still coming to Reno, and our hotels have been doing fairly well in consideration with other folks, but regional travel is going to take place, whether they're visiting family or friends or just getting out in the open. And certainly Reno is well positioned to help take advantage of that. And so we're lined up of how we're going to continue our marketing, and continuing reaching the leisure guests when they want to get away on their first trips. And so that's super important. The impact of travel plans for this year as it compares with COVID, the facts are talking about that people are changing their destination plans and they're making that more regionally. That number has skewed up to about 31% of what people are doing. It's the highest level that we're seeing of what people are doing with their upcoming travel plans, that they can drive as opposed to fly. And certainly the data is showing us whether we're drawing from the Bay Area or further north, those possibilities of what's going on. The question was also posed indicating that the coronavirus would greatly impact their decision to travel in the next 6 months. And so that number has actually decreased. And so as the vaccines are getting into the market and what's happening, the impact of coronavirus, I wouldn't say has faded, but it's certainly, people are more encouraged as the vaccines are rolling out. And the real question is, at what pace will they be rolling out that people feel comfortable? The data also shows us that families are a little bit more hesitant to take travel plans right now until their children are vaccinated. And so family travel certainly might lag until children, but overall, people are skewing that they're looking, they're just not always booking in terms of where they're at. Also, in terms of what's happening now as part of my onboarding process, and certainly I talked about it during my interview, is getting out in the community. And I've worked very hard to meet with dozens of folks, both within the hotel industry, in the community, our elected officials and government officials, really to try and understand the destination, to understand what makes it go, why it's been thriving for so long, and all the great technology companies and folks that are moving to the area. And so really have focused my time and will continue to focus my time integrating myself in meeting folks like yourselves in the community. One of the important developments of what's next, of what's going to be happening, it happens as early as tomorrow. And so tomorrow is actually National Plan Your Vacation Day. And that is an initiative that is driven by US Travel. And it has been adopted by organizations like ours across the country. And it's really helping to get people to start thinking about travel and pushing that out of where they're going. The stats are that 33% of American workers on average have not used their paid time off. And so really this initiative, not necessarily even in COVID, but it's really there to help inspire people to travel and to use their vacation time to do that. More than 6 in 10 people feel that they desperately need a vacation right now. And that's the stats that come out of US Travel. 63% of people, whether they're Zoom fatigued, they're working from home, they've got all sorts of challenges, people need a vacation, and people are ready to vacation once they feel safe. And so that's how we're lining ourselves up of what's going on. Also, in what's next, I would talk and encourage everyone to attend our board meeting, our board of directors meeting, which is public this Thursday, the 28th at 9 a.m. We have been fortunate to line up a couple special guests that are going to give us updates of what's happening in the industry and locally. First, a small coup is that we were able to secure one of the most influential folks in the travel and tourism industry in Roger Dow. He's the president and CEO of US Travel, and he will come on and talk about what's happening trending wise and how we recover. As an industry, our industry has been hit probably harder than just about any other industry. But he'll talk about the trends and what's happening on a national level to recover. And I'm going to guess that Roger will probably talk about the new President Biden and what his philosophies are and how that lines up with travel compared to our former President, Donald Trump. The second special guest that we'll have at the board meeting this Thursday is Darren Griffin, the new President and CEO of the airport. And really the balance is talking about what's happening on a local level and the national level and how Reno fits into that. And Darren will talk about new lift and trends and what's happening at the airport. So we're really excited to have him come through. Also, what's next, a really great opportunity for us to enjoy in the region. The NHL will be coming to Lake Tahoe next month. There's actually 2 different games, 4 NHL teams and a regular season games that will take place in Lake Tahoe. And while there's no fans that can actually attend the game, it's an absolute opportunity for us to showcase the destination and the magic and the beauty of what is Northern Nevada. Now, that being said, I've actually reached out to the NHL to see if there's an opportunity for us in Reno to be able to take advantage of that visit. Don't know if anything will come of that, but again, there will be a lot of media and interest, and certainly the visuals will be able to showcase the destination real well, and we want to be able to play a part of that. Certainly, what's an important part of what happens here is the meetings and conventions. And while the governor has restricted, for safety reasons, what we can do in the region, our sales team is working very hard to, one, stay in contact with our clients, and two, prospect for new clients that might come to the region and might come through. And our PR team's done a great job of elevating what we're doing in the trades and gaining exposure to make sure that Reno is considered when it comes to that. Now, when it comes to what's next, a great way to understand what people are doing is to understand how they search on the internet for information. And so if you go through Google search and you look at hotels in Nevada, if you look at that over the last, I don't know, say 5 years, there was a pretty constant trend and an ebb and flow of what people were looking for when it came to hotels. In March, when the COVID hit, there was a incredible drop off the ledge, certainly when we got into late March and April. We've seen a bit of resilience and a rebound in that in late December of people looking at hotels in Nevada. And that's really an indication that people are interested in travel. They're starting to look at that. They might not all be booking that at this time, but certainly that's a great indicator of what we're doing. I mentioned the sales folks and how hard they're working and doing things. Our marketing folks are doing the same thing. And so while we have not turned on all of the marketing faucet with the advertising of what's happening, certainly we are still targeting travel intenders. And by that might be folks that are looking at Expedia or other OTAs to travel now. And we want to be able to talk to them, one, in a manner that talks about safe and responsible travel, because that's super important, but also making sure that we're in that consideration set of what people are doing. Additionally, our folks on the PR side and social side continue to generate content, and they're talking about the destination and the value of the things we do. And finally, just to kind of wrap up briefly the presentation of what I'm talking about, the new president will help dictate what happens with travel and tourism and what emphasis. He already issued a reversal on certain bans from countries, and certainly we've seen it not only from U.S. travel, but from other trade associations that he's welcoming travel in a responsible way. And so we're watching that very closely. There was also a story in the last week or so about the Moderna CEO and the vaccines. And this CEO came out and said that we're going to have to live with COVID forever. So certainly, how does that change when people travel? And when we look at that, meetings and conventions are going to change, because I feel that we're going to see, certainly in the short term, more hybrid events. And by hybrid events, you're going to have people coming to the convention center or the hotels for self-contained events, but you're also going to have people that are going to stay home. And now that the technology's there, how does Zoom play a role when it comes to events for people that can't attend or don't feel comfortable in doing that? So hybrid events are going to be a part of what we're doing. We just don't necessarily know what that's going to look like because it's so new. So there's not necessarily a playbook to discuss that, but there's certainly a roadmap and opportunities that our salespeople are working on to be able to accommodate meetings and conventions that want to go through that. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
All right. Thank you, Charles. That was a great blend of some hope for the future, some exciting news with the NHL coming to Tahoe, and it sounds like some great insights will be shared at this week's board meeting. So thank you in advance for lining those out, and also an encouragement to folks to tune into that board meeting on Thursday. It sounds like there will be a lot of keen insight to be had. So thank you. So I think, just right out of the gate, I think one of my big questions for you in particular is, involves wanting to take advantage of the benefit of having fresh eyes. You've been in the region for about 2 months now, since November, and you've got that benefit of having a fresh perspective. So I'm curious, with that fresh perspective, what would you say the Reno Tahoe region as a whole has perhaps not been capitalizing on enough in terms of benefits of coming to this region, benefits of traveling to this region? Is there anything that we've been missing that we need to be more consumer facing with?
But yeah, I don't know if there's anything missing. Part of what I've been doing is learning. Learning from the team of what they've done. It's been learning from the outside agencies that we work with in BVK, Noble Studios, and folks that handle either our brand, our website, and our communications. I think that based upon the data that shows what people are comfortable with now, outdoors, open spaces, the team has done a great job of capitalizing on our region, right? So that's been a great positive. I think it's an evolution that takes a little bit more time than 2 months to be able to understand where the opportunities are. But that's part of the reason that I wanted to meet with the team internally, the board members and the stakeholders to learn, as well as reviewing documents like this that has the visitor profile study from a year ago to say, what do people know about the region? Where are they coming from? It's a process that certainly takes longer than 60 days to learn all those things.
Right, absolutely. That's completely fair. And I'm curious, since you're in this time of gathering information, but also responding on the fly to the fluidity of the COVID-19 crisis. So both of these things in tandem. I'm curious how, when you're looking at the next 5 years of your strategy in growing travel and tourism in this region, what do you envision? And I'm operating under the assumption that COVID-19, to your point, it being with us forever, will continue to play a role in the next 5 years. So tell us a little bit about what you're envisioning as you're gathering all of this information.
Yeah, I think the industry is going to absolutely change. What I see short term is, while people have grown accustomed to the new technologies like Zoom to be able to do meetings, there's a reason why that relationships are strong and our teams can book business and do things. It's because of face-to-face, and that's not going to change. Face-to-face meetings will continue, but they might continue differently of what's there. The way people will travel in the next year is absolutely going to continue to change, as we will not rid ourselves of this disease in the pandemic. What we will see is just different habits in what's changing. I think technology is going to continue to play a role in how we interact both face-to-face and remote of what's happening. But I think messaging and having that one-to-one experience with consumers and people that visit the destination will absolutely and always be important. It's just a matter of navigating what that new normal looks like. And that's an ever-developing process. In the old days, organizations like the RSCVA would do 5-year strategic plans. And you could plan to understand what's happening down the road and towards that goal, whether it's increasing your ADR and room nights and citywide events that are happening. But the life is changing so fast that it's not really realistic to do 5-year marketing plans or strategic business plans, because things are changing. It's more realistic to do 2- and 3-year plans, because the pace of what's happening is changing ever so fast. And so I think we as an organization need to adopt that, and we need to tweak that, because honestly, no one could have predicted in the last 12 months that we would be here. And so we need to change along with that.
I couldn't agree more. I think something that we've all learned during this time is to not just be flexible, but to be a student of human behavior, to be a student of human behavior in real time, watching what people are searching on Google, watching what people are doing on social media, watching when that traffic is at its height. Those are just some of the ways that we can keep our finger on the pulse of how people are doing, what they're thinking, what their desires are, and find a way to leverage that. And there are a lot of inroads to leverage at this time, to be sure. So in terms of the community at large, would you say there are any issues or any subjects that we need to address immediately if we are to hope to see a rebound in travel and tourism in the next 2 to 5 years?
I don't know if there's any issues about that. I think that there's opportunity. the most important thing that we do is, one, that people are familiar with the destination, that they know about the opportunities and experiences, that the ever developing region is communicated with folks. We have a lot of different voices or needs within the organization. You've got Reno proper as a destination where all the gaming and the outdoors takes place. You've got the neighboring city of Sparks. You've got the lake of what's going on. And so there's lots of opportunity for us to message and to update that. Really, for me, it's about creating the best practices and using best practices in the industry to understand what we're doing great, where we can improve, and what we don't know. And that's part of that journey that we'll take together as a staff and as a community.
Great. Are there any community partnerships to that end that you feel will be particularly strategic as you're driving up travel and tourism?
I think there is. I've actually had the opportunity to talk to your boss, Ann Silver, about a partnership that I would like us to explore with the RSCVA. That makes sense. It makes sense for the chamber. It makes sense for visitors who come to the RSCVA website, for example. And it makes great sense for our businesses in this community that will benefit from this potential partnership. And so that's really identifying those types of things that benefit the community. And I think that's the role that we as the RSCVA have to play, is what involvement do we have in the community? Because the bottom line is, if a meeting or convention comes to a city like Reno, it's about room nights, absolutely, but it's also about where do they eat? What attractions do they go to? Where are they spending their money? That contributes to that economic impact for all of us. And that's really how I've looked at it from where I came from and what I want to instill in what we're doing here. That the benefit of the businesses and the leisure guests that we bring potentially benefits the entire region. And that's how we have to look at that holistically.
Absolutely agreed. I mean, a room night is one way to look at the impact of the region. You can also look at that as a restaurant reservation. You could look at that as a theater ticket or a show ticket. There's so many ways to view the folks who are coming to our region, and it's part of a vast ecosystem that supports small businesses in our region. And of course, that is of huge importance to all of us.
And if I could jump back in for a second, it's not only that. I mean, day visitors are important as well, because they're gonna consume and do things like that. But certainly, we want them to stay in our hotels and motels and Airbnbs and the short-term rentals. But we want to extend that stay, right? Because we want to show them the reasons to come here and stay longer. And then that means that they are going to most likely spend more money in the area, which is the benefit of everybody.
Right, absolutely. One of the things that piqued my interest the most about your presentation this morning is the fact that family travel could lag. I find that particularly fascinating. How does that shift the current strategy? If we're keeping in mind that family travel could see a little while to rebound, as to your point, parents are looking to get their children vaccinated before they feel comfortable traveling again. How does that impact our strategy, let's say, through the summertime?
Yeah, well, it potentially impacts it, right? It's not going to impact it for sure, because we don't know what the rollout of the vaccines look like. The new president said his goal was 100 million vaccinations within a short period of time. So it depends upon getting that medicine into the hands of the medical professionals so that they can provide the vaccines. Family travel is certainly one segment of who we target and what we go after. And at the end of the day, it could impact us, but we also target and entertain and inspire other segments as well. And so I'll go back to what I originally said. I think Reno, Sparks and Tahoe area has done a great job during the adjusted forecast of how we've managed the pandemic so far. So we've done okay, better than certainly some other destinations, but we want to be able to recover and be out there for the early adopters who are ready to start traveling again. And so the family segment will be a segment that potentially could lag. We might push our efforts into other areas, knowing that people are ready to travel. Anybody who I've talked to said, I can't wait to get out there. I can't wait to do things. And certainly we want to be part of that consideration set when they do that.
Absolutely. And I think, of course, in the summertime, as weather improves, we're going to see a lot of folks, families included, who are flocking to the region to take advantage of outdoor opportunities, camping, staying up at the lake, staying here in town, just getting out and doing something different, a change of scenery. And so, to your point, we're here, we're waiting, we're ready to see all of those folks and welcome them with open arms. Since we're coming in on the end of the call, I want to invite anyone, of course, who is on the call to ask any questions that may be coming to their mind. Go ahead and put those into chat right now. And while you are doing that, if there are any burning questions you have, Charles, I might just invite you to give us any closing remarks you may have.
Well, one of the things that I would say is that the area is developing at a rapid pace. And so part of our job is to help tell the story of businesses in the region for visitors or folks that would come here for a meeting and convention. And so please continue to talk with our team. Let people know whether it's new businesses, new hotels, improvements in hotels, things that are going on that we can help message, because part of that is we have to be the messenger to the media or create our own content to help inspire people of what's going on. And no idea or no thought is too small, as we want to be able to help tell those stories to different audiences.
All right, thank you so much. I think you're absolutely right. The strength of our region is community partnership, and we've got a lot of not just intelligent voices, but relevant voices, and especially on this call, people from myriad vantage points who all have a point of view that can and should be considered. And I thank you for having the foresight to invite all sorts of folks to the table in order to your point, tell the story of this region the way it deserves to be told. So thank you, and thank you to your team for doing such a diligent job in that way. It looks like we've got some questions in chat, so let me go ahead and take a look at these and pose them to you, Charles. Sure. First question from this participant: are there any conventions of note in 2021 who appear to be committed to coming to Reno?
So one of the things that the team has really done, again, we're in this gray area where we're limited by the number of folks that can hold events here, and that's certainly lasting short term. What we see on a national level is that the first half of the year, so through June, is pretty soft, and there's a lot of conventions and meetings that have either canceled or rescheduled. One of the things that our team has done is worked super hard to rebook folks that were either scheduled or that we were targeting for the first half of the year. And so what the research and what we hear happening is the second half of the year, as the vaccines roll out, there is a potential for more business, and that's where our folks are focused on. And quite honestly, I can't wait to get out and visit our remotes, the people that work in the cities and the areas that are deemed important, to be able to meet with folks, to be able to get in front of them, and whether it's opportunities for the rest of this year or into 22, 23, 24, that's really where our focus is. But back to the question, we really don't know when and if we can open. So it's hard to make announcements of events for this year right now.
Indeed, that's fair. And it looks like there's a second question, which is, which venue at the lake will be hosting the upcoming NHL games?
So it's going to be on the Nevada side. Edgewood, is that the name of the hotel? So it's going to be in that area. The NHL picked that spot. Certainly, I'm going to take a wild guess. Professional athletes are accustomed to a certain type of accommodation, and for whatever reason, that's what they negotiated. But they're going to be coming through Reno, and so that was the goal of me reaching out to the NHL to say, hey, is there an opportunity from the time that we could welcome you and to land to the time you get either up to the lake or back from the lake, that we could involve you? And that's what we're exploring. I don't know if it's going to happen, but we're certainly going to explore to see if there's something that we can do to help promote the region for hockey fans.
All right, absolutely, and thank you for your efforts in that regard as well. It's good to know that as part of the hope that's on the horizon, we've got all eyes on Reno Tahoe once again. I know that we enjoy that kind of attention, particularly up at Tahoe, Edgewood with the celebrity golf tournament that typically happens in the summertime. But it's great to have a little bit of a winter presence as well. So thank you for sharing what you know about that, and we will absolutely be awaiting to see how that comes to fruition. It looks like there are not any more questions, so we might just call it 1 minute early. Thank you again, Charles, for joining us today, for your insight. I want to, on your behalf, if I may, invite everyone to watch the board meeting on Thursday. It sounds like it's going to be very important, very timely, very relevant. So consider yourselves invited. And with that, I will wish all of you a good day. And thank you, Charles, so much.
Thanks for having me.